gonna get side by side again. Last time it didn't quite work. Can he make it stick this time? He's not fully passed, but he held on as they swing back in. A little bit of car contact between them. That sends him out. Topi's gonna pounce on it. He's gonna try and take that second place back as it goes through Brooklyn's tires spinning up as Simone is not willing to give way. He's got the inside back and through, more side-to-side contact between he and his rival. Somehow they come out the other side, but it's still not done, DJ. It's down to cops they go.
Oh, it's really close. Here we go. It's Galindo. He tries to make the move on U-Bluth as they send Hideki Koivisto flying.
Koivisto manages not to hit the wall. I think he's going to be okay, but he's not going to be happy about that.
Galindo, he's going for a braking move on Fabian U-Bluth. He's going to send it deep into turn 7. He's going to be on the inside as they head around the corner. He should have the position, but U-Bluth holds out. They're going to go side by side as they go into the S's.
Oh, can he get this done finally? Oh. Chucks it in, but he goes a little too deep. Coming back at him. Here comes U-Bluth trying to take this fourth away. Again, this will tie the points lead. If Aitor can get past him, they're going to run together. Little bit of contact, splitting either side of Marco Lay. Who's going to win the battle down to the braking of the hairpin?
Well, and let's take a look at that. That may have been a mistake there from Jeff Schmeier going for the move. How he kept that out of the side of the number 220 is beyond belief, but amazing car control there from the number 30.
Not close enough to Timo for this lap by. Oh, but look into the first corner. That's for the lead. Kortaniemi on the attack on Partanen, but he's going to be vulnerable as Simone sees the chance. Now that he's slow off the corner, swings around him, and he is through down into Maggots and Beckett's.
And this is where things get extremely complicated. He's going to try and go on the outside, gets pushed out wide into the grass, loses it, and now we're all along for the ride.
Whoa! I know there's a rallycross course here, but this car's not made for that. And he got air, all four wheels off the ground, still kept it out of the barrier and brought it back. That's going to likely cause a little damage to the car regardless, but great heads up by the 16.
He's going to have to go the long way around the left-handed sweeper here. Is he going to be ahead by the time they get into the braking zone? Are we going to see side-by-side for 2 successive laps going through Moss? Little bit of maybe contact there for Ozowski, bumping and banging, banging and bumping as they exit the corner.
Luis Nunez tries to cover it off then. It's going to try and pinch and pinch and pinch as they go towards turn 1, but he'll get just about what he needs. Oh, he has a big moment in the middle, and up and under Jukka Tolonen, experience prevailing.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect.
How's it going, Sally? Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going?
Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they go into the top and the spider's in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me.
Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
If there's one way to describe the Camel Series, it'd be organized chaos. Frantic traffic management and lightning-fast decision-making defines the chemistry of this unique group. So it's only fitting that they choose to kick things off at one of the wildest tracks on iRacing. Monza's combined course notches up the craziness a bit as we get ready to watch round 1 of the Camel GT Series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Craig King. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson. And he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Most folks know about Monza, but not necessarily about the combined layout. Let's head to our track guide to learn more. Welcome to Monza. This track has a major place in racing history, not just for the legendary races, names, and cars that have been here, but because it was the third purpose-built car racing circuit in the world. It's often discussed and reverenced among fans, and especially by Italians who have nicknamed it the Temple of Speed. In fact, the Ferrari fans here are so famous for their devotion that they have been dubbed the Tifosi and never fail to show up in droves. While the real world offers only 3 feasible layouts to race on due to safety, in iRacing, the inclusion of the oval and the lack of safety concerns gives it a stunning 9 versions drivers can choose from. The modern GP layout is of course the most well known, with its long history of hosting the Italian Grand Prix. But the oval and combined circuits allow those who thirst for more speed to satiate that craving with its insanely high banking. Indeed, incredible velocities are a staple of just about every version you can race here. Draft battles are not uncommon, no matter which car you're racing. But the inclusion of the chicanes makes using an outbraking maneuver a much more tricky way of overtaking. The circuit is notorious for drivers getting tangled up with each other while running side by side in these slow and cumbersome corners. In fact, one of the greatest dangers for drivers is the first few laps when the field is still clumped together and attempting to navigate them 2 and 3 wide. While there are other modern circuits with high-speed straights, the fact that Monza sits inside the Royal Park just north of Milan and is still tightly lined with trees heightens the sense of speed here. All in all, Monza is unmatched in its history, thrills, and great racing. Its significance in motorsports history and culture is sure to be unchallenged for years. Well, as you can see, there's a couple different versions, but the one we run certainly seems to draw them in whenever that shows up on a schedule here, Craig.
Yeah, well, thanks to iRacing, this old oval was preserved and flattened to create these historic layouts. This happens to be one of my favorite historical tracks on sim racing. Despite this version, this layout never used in the real world. The oval was stopped racing in 71. So for the GTP drivers, when you hear no first chicane, it brings in a dilemma of low downforce versus high. But with the oval, your choice is made easier for you. Both classes at the Curva Grande will not be flat now due to that increased speed, which also means earlier braking down into the Curva del Regia, which is now the first chicane on this track. For the GTO drivers, Curva Grande could even mean a tap of the brakes due to the understeer. Now, due to the lower wing for both classes, the Ascari's becomes a little bit more slippery. No downforce to help you around those corners. And the Lesmos, we have seen some drivers in practice slide the back out there. The oval's going to be a bigger challenge than some people expect. It's narrow, it's higher banking, it's something different you see on normal ovals, modern day ovals. But overtaking is possible. Caution and respect is needed. For multi-class racing here, it's always a pick and mix. GTPs are going to have different braking zones and take the corners faster. So expect some later dives in order to create what I call the bookmark effect. You put the slower car in between you and your foe by having to make that risky dive into the corner. Monza combined promises to be a fun start to another hotly contested season in the Camel GT.
It's going to be a wild start, that is for sure. Let's take a look at how last time wound up in our competition here for the Camel GT series, starting with the GTPs, and Aitor Sintes Galindo took his 2nd ever championship. Now, Sanchez sadly did not show up in the last couple rounds, and that affected it, of course, but even still, Aitor certainly showed a lot of consistency throughout the season to help him up to be 20 points ahead of Xavier in the end. Fabian Jungbluth was about a win's worth behind at the end of the season. He's continued to show improvement and has even had 2 wins now to his name in the series. Mudrack has been just kind of flirting around the front. Maybe this could be his season if he could just get a little bit higher up the order. He barely beat out Lau Stolson in the end for that 4th position. Same thing with Trangrade and Mastretta, only a single point between them. And Krajcik and Gabbiani did the same there at the bottom. So everybody just kind of squeaked through at the very end. What about in the GTO Championship?
Well, the GTO was very close, down to the wire. It was just, look how close it was, 13 points. Javier de Olmo did win the championship. He had 4 wins to Lescala's 6 wins. To get it into context, Lescala had 7 poles and converted all but 1 of them. Now, the rest of the drivers in the top 10 never had a victory. They had top 5s, but never had a victory. So you see Ian Haycox and Robert Plumley having some fantastic battles as well. Jamie Havel-Smith coming on as well, with Hideki Kobe-Visto taking some positions. Andreas Schuster getting late into the top 10. Emerson Golden also jumping in late. Carlos Fonseca rounded out the top 10. For those wondering who the other winners were, Reed Miller and Buffet with the other winners in the GTOs this last season. I wonder if we're going to see the same again. Are we going to see Lescala versus Del Olmo? Pretty much, I think. But who's going to take the most wins this season?
And Del Olmo's honestly stepped up to the plate with speed, so it's not going to be a one-sided contest, most likely. Meanwhile, for the race details, this one's actually just slightly different as well from what you're used to. They're usually timed races, but because of the length of the lap, they've set it to 15 laps instead of to a timed distance. As you mentioned, it is the first round of 12, which is kind of astonishing. They chose this one to kick it off, but these guys are a different breed, as you can tell. It is open setup, and Craig has touched on that a lot, that it's going to make a big difference in the race itself because of how you try and trim out the car. They also don't have a spare car, though, so if you get damage, which is going to be likely on that oval portion, especially in a big way, you're going to have to come in and get it repaired. We might see a lot of DNFs today. Drive-through penalty at 70 incidents, disqualification at 25. Now, they are in qualifying, but it does take a little bit to get around here. We may see a few of them not get a second lap in. And I can tell you right now that Andrew Medell is leading provisionally with the pole in the GTPs. Lescala and Del Olmo are back, and they are split by less than a tenth of a second right now.
Yeah, very interesting. Medell is also driving ill at the moment, so very fantastic quality by him. But we do have others still trying to make their way around. I see Hugh Haycox is coming around. He's in P2. He's coming around one last time as he sets a time. Also, we see in the GTO, Hugh Haycock, by the way, he actually spun, so he's not going to set a final lap. He spun at the last corner. In the GTOs, you see Lescala there. He's currently leading the way, but look how close it is. Just 200th of a second. Are they going to get another time in? Because they're doing 2:35s. You multiply that twice, that turns to 5 minutes. You add another to get your outlap. That is very close. In fact, Lescala is coming around now with 30 seconds left in qualifying.
He's not going to make it.
He's not going to make it.
No, he's slowed down. I think he knows that there's just not enough time, so he's given up hope on that one and came to a stop. Rob Blackmore is going to get his first time, and no, he's not. He just had his lap deleted. That is unfortunate, but we've got Steve McLean right here. He has yet to set a time as well. This is going to be his one and only lap here in the Audis, and he's just going to squeak it in as he crosses. So where is this going to put him? A 2:43.9, just to give you an idea, and that will unfortunately put him 19th in class, as that's it. Looks like our grid is set. So Andrew Medell will start on the pole with Hugh Haycox in second place. It'll be Laust Olsen from P3 as Diego Mastretta will start from fourth. Antti Lepisto is back once again, starting from P5. Mick Claridge hops into the Nissans as he'll start from sixth. In the next row, Timothy Reed will be on the inside with Fabian Jungbluth on the outside. Ove Trangrade not as strong here in qualifying, even with both laps in. He's only able to get ninth. Dylan Roberts will round out your top 10. On the next slide, Amber Dauenbaugh will be in 11th. Cy Andra returns once again. Known for being incredibly fast, it looks like he's got a little rust to shake off as he only starts from 12th. That was with both laps completed. Brian Molitor will be 13th, and Robert Plumley, who had a poor showing in the Lotus 49s, will start 14th. Carl Moore will start P15. After that, it's Jack Wells in the 16th spot with James King starting in 17th. Javier Mascara will be P18, followed by David Richards in the 19th spot, and to his outside, German German Suarez. Then you've got two more that managed to qualify. Martin Krejcik in 21st and Gianluca Gabbiani in 22nd. Carlos Fonseca and Jason Clapper will start at the back of the prototype field.
And for the GTOs, it is Joko Lescala taking pole position. And look how close that is with Javier Olmo in P2, and Buscemi also close in P3. Timothy Vaughan will be fourth, and then Andreas Schuster will take fifth place with Fabian Scheisek, in sixth place. Ian Haycox will be seventh, and Reed Miller into eighth. And for the round at the top 10, it's Doug Cloud ninth, and Emerson Golden in 10th. Then we get to the next row. Mark Ole will be 11th with Hideki Koivisto in 12th. A very low position there for the chat for Hideki. Mira Haski will be 13th. Hamill Smith 14th. Oscar Lozano will be 15th. And El Amri will be 16th. Timo Laxoy will be 17th. And Daniel Repetto 18th. Steve McLean, last of the qualifiers, in 19th. Van Ixie will be 20th. And we do have one more driver who did not set a lap. It's Rob Blackmore there. 45 cars. It's split today, for those unaware. 90 signups overall for the whole night.
Yeah, we haven't mentioned that that this is the cream of the crop here, and we've got a couple of them showing us their perspective here today as we take a quick glance at the weather as well. Looks pretty ideal conditions, thankfully. Laust Olsen is going to show us his perspective once again, starting a little bit higher up towards the front. But we also have Gianluca Gabbiani giving us his view, starting from the back of his field, as he's even got a friend in his English waiting room now. So Gianluca back to show off his wonderful furniture. Looks like we are ready to go as the pace car is going to peel out. Andrew Medell, our pole sitter, did not seem like he really wanted that. He was almost upset, it looked like, over the text chat that he had gotten the pole. I think he knows that it's going to be easy for him to get swallowed up here at the start. Green flag is out, and Andrew is on the throttle very quickly. As I said, he's got that jump, but it's almost like a Talladega-style race here, Craig. He is going to get eaten up so fast. Let's go back to the GTO start.
Yep, GTOs, they have to take the Parabolica corner to start this race, and it allows Andrea Schuster and Gregorio Buscemi to make an overtake early on. And you can see just in the background a little bit of hustle and bustle there. Ian Haycock trying to make a move as well, trying not to go there. Do you want to go too wide early on here? It's very risky. Ian Haycock going side by side with Fabian. Fabian is going to lose out here. He can't even get anywhere. Fabian's trying to make a safe move here. Around the outside he goes. He may hold on to this, but that is the danger here, trying to go too wide on the oval.
Speaking of which, Antti Lepisto took it 3 wide to take the lead in the GTPs over Medell. Hugh Haycox is in there as well. You can see he was trying to challenge for it, but it was on the outside. It was a longer line. Here we go again. Are we going to go 3 wide? No, it looks like Andrew is going to back out and see what Hugh does around the outside of the Curva Grande. We got a car off in the background, and that looks like that is Mick Claridge, actually.
Yeah, did not see what happened there. You can see we probably just lost it going in. We've actually had a car off at the chicane. I think that was Letisto. I'm not sure. It was a chrome car, but one car's gone off, just missed their braking going into the first chicane. Yes, it was. Mastretta also making a move up there. So it's all changed at the moment as Haycock tries to pull away.
Antti Lepisto with the lead, and he throws it away. He falls down to 9th. This is going to hurt him as we look at the leaders and the GTOs. This is their first braking zone of the lap, and it's Jukka Leskala. Jukka Leskala is going to lose it. All 3 of the leaders are going to spin completely on their own volition into the first chicane.
Car park at the Del Roggio chicane. Del Olmo is crabbing. He has damage. More people went high up there. No idea what happened. It was just a move, trying to be a little bit aggressive there to make the overtake into the chicane, and it has cost them. And I don't know how many people that was. Was that 5, 6 cars there we saw off?
At least 3 of them self-spinning from the top 3 without even touching each other. They all just lost it completely on their own. That was utterly bizarre, and it makes Ian Haycox your new leader, with Saisheg just behind him now in 2nd place. But up at the front, Hugh Haycox. Wow, how did he pull away from Medell as quick as he did? It is 2 seconds difference. Was there a slowdown penalty for the 35 that we had missed?
I don't think there is. It would not surprise me if Medell doesn't have the downforce. He's getting overtaken now. That's Laus Olsen down underneath. Olsen's going to go to the inside here. He'll take that. Medell's not going to combat this. He wants to get the slipstream. He's not slow enough to get behind. Into the slipstream he goes. He's got Reed behind him. Roberts and Mastretta are also battling there, going over that little bump onto the course. I love that. And now Medell with the slipstream. He's going to power away. But how much? We know Monza in its Grand Prix configuration. It's very much a slipstream battle. If that's a slipstream battle, this is, like you said, this is Talladega.
So as we come down into the braking once again, are we going to be able to make this one safely up ahead of them? It looks like Hugh is able to get through. Andrew is as well, and Laust Olsen is going to manage it. So I see an incident through Curva Grande with Suarez. Looks like Gabbiani involved and David Richards. They're all trying to get turned around, but they got to hurry because they're going to be approached by those GTOs pretty soon.
Yeah, the GTOs are coming by. Fabian is now taking over the lead from Ian Haycox, and they are now trying to gang up there. They're trying to make a move. There's two wide behind them, Reed Miller and there's Andreas Schuster. They're going to be taking this side by side going into the Curva Grande. A little bit of the break there. You can see this basically turns into almost like a normal corner now for the GTOs with the braking, and the inside line does work there for Miller. Andreas will have to go for a little bit of a move if he wanted that chicane. He cannot. So again, another overtake happens coming off the oval down the Grand Prix straight, and it is Fabian to take the lead from Ian Haycock. Do not be surprised if this stays the same. We know what Fabian's like in other cars. First time I've seen him wheel the GTO for a while.
Sounds like we have a replay on that incident with the GTOs down into De La Roja. Let's take a quick look and see if we can dissect this. Just looking at it from above. Yeah, watch. And, oh, I'm wrong. There was a little bit of contact with second and third. But, I mean, Yuko basically only has himself to blame on that one.
Yeah. I mean, it was an ambitious move, and I think the door was closing a bit too early than he expected, and that just caused it. Doug Cloud's also gone around at Ascari while we're watching this. That's a self-spin. But you can just see it there, and it just catches, well, it catches about 8 drivers. To give you an idea, El Amri made 11 places up on the first lap because of that. Just give you an idea of how much of a difference that was.
Unbelievable stuff. Meanwhile, back to the battle for second place here. Now it's Timothy Reed along with Andrew instead of Laust Olsen. He falls back a little bit to fourth. Scott Roberts, Mistretta, and Jungbluth in with him. Here is that slipstream train. No DRS involved in this style of racing. It's old school with these 89 IMSA cars. Into the braking of the De La Roja chicane. Nobody makes an attempt. They're all going to stay in line.
They're all going to stay in line, and also we got 2 wide in the GTOs at the front. The top 4 are 2 by 2 in the GTOs. Fabian Sezek is in the lead. Reed Miller is behind him, but he's side by side with Ian Haycock. Andreas Schuster there on board with him. He's deciding not to do anything. These top 4 are 4.5 seconds ahead of the rest of the field, and they are just coming around the corner, taking this 2 by 2. Do not be surprised if Reed Miller goes for an overtake here. Schuster may go for an overtake as well. Here they go. There's no way to defend this. And in fact, look at that slipstream. Look at the speed that Haycock and Schuster had. None of them could do anything. And, just have to get on the brakes there, Schuster. Wasn't expecting the lift.
Yeah, and Ian Haycox has got to be hungry for that win. This is one of his best opportunities. These crazy races, especially the slipstream races, offer a great chance to try and sneak one in. He's still looking for his first in this series. And last season, I'm trying to count up how many podiums he had. It was around half a dozen.
Half a dozen? I mean, that's an amazing stat, though, when you think about it, with how competitive it was at the front. To have that many throughout the whole season just shows a level of consistency, and Reed Miller really could get this going right now if he could just get a good result. It'll be interesting to see. First time we've seen them go around, but we got to go back. Every time we look at the Grand Prix circuit, not much is happening. We come to the oval, and yet again, it's happening. Medel and Miller going for another round, and Medel again, he pushed up high, and you want to be careful. As you see, the pocket cam is in effect with Laust Olsen. He's just watching these guys, and look at the speed difference. Look at that speed difference that he has to lift. Had he just been a couple tenths later, he would have been able to go by both of these and be denying Medel of taking the P2 back. And they're not losing time to Hugh Haycock, by the way. It's still only 2.2 seconds.
Yeah, but Hugh looks like he is well clear at this stage. Really not much of a concern. Traffic will change things, though, and I'm sure they'll get it pretty soon, because it looks like Andrew's going to be able to take that second place by the time they hit the braking zone. Laust Olsen, who we were on board with, is not able to retain Dylan Roberts, who's going to go around the outside of the exit of the chicane, and that is going to allow Fabian Jungbluth to also demote Laust another spot just behind him. Antti Lepisto, who briefly led this race, has been trying to charge back through. He's managed to get up to 7th.
Great recovery there from Antti. Really trying to just get back, especially with what happened there at the chicane. We come back to the GTOs. We've got to keep our eyes everywhere at the moment. And again, it's a 4-car battle. It's about an 8-car battle for P2 in the GTPs. Here's a 4-car battle in the GTOs. Not much elsewhere in terms of big groups in the GTOs, but still, Fabian now starting to try and pull away with Reed Miller there, Ian Haycock and Andreas Schuster. I do wonder what the optimal line is on the oval. We've seen guys taking the high line, it's working. We see guys taking the low line. There is a yellow line there. It's not in force, and you can see that some drivers really making it work. Andreas, he could take this free wide though. Will he take this? No, he doesn't. But that just shows the speed that these GTOs are getting to, let alone the GTPs. This is some really high speed.
Yeah, I mean, they're doing 173 is where they top out for those GTOs at the end of the front stretch. And to answer your question on the optimal line on the oval, yes.
Okay, then. It really is Talladega. I've never actually raced an oval here at Monza. We've seen the fun races here on the oval side of Monza before, but it's nothing that gets run in a lot of officials. So to see an oval being used here just really just makes you feel, like I said, it gets that historic feeling. It's a little bit of a slide there from Schuster. Really nice to pick that up because, again, they're running lower wing, so the Lesmo corners do require a different mindset compared to when you're taking it in the in the Grand Prix, and that's free wide up the straight jump.
Oh boy, this is not going to be good unless they get this sorted out. They go back to Noah's Ark, but we've seen it is treacherous through this first corner. Well, what usually is the first corner there through Curva Grande, and then breaking down into the Della Rosia. That's side by side between Trangrade and Jungbluth. Behind them, Laust Olsen watching a spin of the tires from Fabian will deny him the chance to complete that pass. He has to stay defensive on Laust, and Laust backs out of it by the time they hit the first of the Lesmos.
Do you know, it's crazy. You'll think I'm crazy for saying this. I've always said the best way to defend that chicane is to take the outside, not, take the outside line. And that's where you usually get a lot of the overtakes instead of taking the inside. You go for an overtake on the inside, then you're actually losing time. So, and you actually risk losing the position going to Lesmo. So some of those defenses working really well, some of those attacks working really well. But these guys now, they're starting to split up a bit. This works wonders for Medell and Reed. They've now put a 2-second gap between the rest of the field. Remember I was saying it was an 8-car train? That's now come down. You've got little pockets of 2 and 3 now. As Medell and Reed, they're on their own. I mean, I tell you who else is on their own. It's Hugh Haycock, who's 3 seconds ahead now.
Yeah, it's starting to swing heavily in his favor. He's taken a lot of victories in this series, even though he took a small break. Meanwhile, back to the lead of our GTOs. I did manage to find the stats on Haycock's last season. 7 podiums out of 12 races, literally more than half. He was on the podium and yet never got a win. Very, very consistent. Just needs the speed, just needs a little bit of luck.
This is the place for luck right here. As you can see, yet again, they go around the Curva Grande and they're just going to slot back in. It's interesting how they're not going for these moves yet. There's 10 laps to go for these drivers. Also, one of the things I've noticed is the GTOs are starting to get lap traffic. It's not a lot in the moment because everything's so split out. I think we're down. I think we've lost half of the GTO field so far. I mean, no surprise with that accident. Wide. There goes Fabian, but he's able to recover. And it's just going to be a story now. Just hold on to your horses, keep it nice and tight, and we'll see you again when we come to the oval.
I'm looking through the timing and scoring. I see 2 officially retired and 1... No, actually, that's a GTP that's still in there. And Amber Dawnball is back in pit lane as well after 10 minutes of repairs, so she might also be out. So that's looking like 3 of the GTOs actually that are officially out. The rest actually got repairs and have hopped back in. So I think they understand the nature of this race and the fact that they're likely to try and pick up a few as it carries on. But you're right about the GTPs hitting traffic. They're getting into the thick of the GTOs. This is a little bit farther back from the ultimate lead of Haycox. This is coming down into the Ascari chicane between Andrew and Reed.
Yeah, Reed actually made a mistake coming out of the Del Roger chicane, and he went off on a little bit of a grass run there, and he had to take the position here, so he's going to be losing out. Medell just went on the grass. We just missed it. He's all right, though. He had to go on the grass to do a double overtake on the GTOs, as we're seeing this almost 3 wide by the GTOs there coming around the banking. I mean, come on, guys, don't take the Daytona reference literally. This is madness at the moment. And once again, the run on the high side. Here comes 3 wide again. That is Schuster with the run down on the back stretch of the oval, and he takes the lead.
That's Haycox actually in the 15 that just took it away. That bright green car is up at the point, but he's likely not going to hold on to that all the way to the finish. In fact, already look around the outside, getting very close to the Armco. That was, in fact, Schuster, who is now up to the point ahead of Ian Haycox. Reed Miller going to use that run now. This is going to have to definitely take a sense of timing and a sense of planning when it comes down to the end of it. Interestingly, Yuko Leskala is running in 5th, but he's 5 seconds behind them. I need to check the lap times to see if he's actually gaining or not.
I'm having a look, and I don't think he's gaining with the amount of slipstream that these guys are taking. It's hard because they're basically trading positions and keeping the speed up, and then almost gentlemanly saying to themselves, let's not go for any aggressive moves on the Grand Prix circuit and let's fight it out on the oval. And you can see that, here they go, look at this right now. And there is the lead GTP of Haycox right behind them, 8 seconds behind them. You'll start to see him in the camera. But they're just holding on right now. They're just allowing themselves to just have a possession. It reminds me a little bit of Daytona Road. No overtaking on the infield. Let's do the overtaking when we get on the oval.
Indeed, yeah, that's Koivisto in the green and yellow machine that we were watching, as that was Krajcik that went by. And Krajcik's actually trying to get his laps back, so he was involved in some early issues as well. Just about runs it off of Ascari, as you can tell just how light on downforce these things are into that chicane. Meanwhile, there goes Andrew from second place, now 7 seconds behind Hugh Haycox. The traffic has very much helped the Brit.
It's helped the Brit a lot here, but he's still got Reed behind him. Auntie is right there as well now. He's slowly, with all that traffic, he's slowly trying to get in the slipstream range, and he's so close. He is so close here, and I love that camera angle from Dougie. You've got one car on the Grand Prix circuit, one car on a group of cars, sorry, going on the oval. As Reed takes the lead there. Medell has always been forced high. Every time we've watched him, Medell has been forced high at the start of the oval due to being overtaken. So it'll be interesting if he can actually assert some dominance anytime soon when they come to the oval.
Maybe he doesn't want to be in front of him. We'll see. The 11 does lift as they come into the second part of it. And you can see they're having it. Oh, and one of our GTOs not looking very good. Timothy Vaughn. Now, it's a strange place to be slow here on the way down into Parabolica. Did he have some help from traffic, maybe?
Is it traffic, or was it a mistake at Ascari? It looks almost like just clipping the grass at Ascari. This is going to be dangerous, though, for the GTP. Find a lane, stick to a lane. They're almost 3 wide overtaking. And you can see that Medell having to go around the outside. Reed, that is so treacherous to see 2 wide and knowing that it's a whole high-speed corner coming up. That is dangerous. And then the rest of the GTOs, they're still battling. And now Lepisto, he is back in the slipstream range, and Dylan Roberts is almost in the slipstream range. We may have another 4-5 car train coming up soon.
Indeed. Oh, and off course, I think, for Martin Kretrick and somebody else here on screen. That's the 7. That is Mick Claridge, who must have gotten back out on track after his early issues, and seems maybe his day is going to end early here if he's back into pit lane once again.
Another one for, again, we don't have many retirees, like we were saying. I see 4 cars officially retired, 1 car, Timothy Vaughan, in the pit. So despite the chaos we've seen, especially with that first lap GTO, there hasn't been a lot of damage and incidents. So they have that to play with them. There is Lars Alson going by, and that is the 22 of Andreas Schuster battling away, trying to keep ahead of Reed Miller. Because of the traffic, look at this gap. We had a 4-car battle, and now look at it. It's a 2-car battle. It may even be a 3-car battle if Ian can just catch on. Fabian and Lescala are also trying to catch on as well. Maybe those 3 can work together to get back up to the front.
We've seen this before. It seems like that traffic always separates the fights in the GTO class. Ian Haycock's definitely needing to try and catch up. Before, he wouldn't have wanted Yuko Lescala to be catching him, but now I almost wonder if it is worth his time to maybe just back off a hair, let him catch, and use the slipstream to try and leapfrog their way forward.
Well, Lescala just set the fastest lap of the GTO with a 2:35, 2:68. So that just goes to show that working with Fabian is helping them, but they need a little bit more help. Maybe a GTP to come by, just like we've got this little battle right here, side by side. You see it a lot, and again, the outside, treacherous. Let's not go for the outside here. They'll come back in. Will we see a move here? I doubt we'll see it. No, that's the 21, of course, there of Ove Trangaré, which we haven't talked a lot about there with Fabian Youngblood behind him.
Fabian still stuck down in 7th position. Trangaré able to get up to 6th from his 9th place start. Dylan Roberts ahead of them. You talk about someone we haven't really discussed. Very quiet today, and yet he's gone from 10th to 5th. So nicely done by him. He's been, I think, following Antti Lepisto back through the field. That's that lighter blue car with the dark stripes down the middle that you see. Lepisto 9.5 seconds behind the overall leader I'm seeing right now, but about 1.5 seconds back from Timothy Reed. He hasn't given up hope yet about being able to fight for the podium. We'll see if he can, as they're going to go by another of our GTOs, Del Olmo, who is still down in 15th position after his opening wreck, is just letting them by as we come up to the leaders of the GTO. This is Reed and Miller ahead of Schuster, ahead of Haycox, and Lescala has come with them along with Seischeg. So it's now going to be a 5-car fight, it looks like.
Yeah, we've got it back again. I think the traffic worked in the favor of some of those cars behind. Lescala and Seischeg working together to get back here with what? We're halfway through the race with 6 to go. They do have a chance to just make something now. I don't think we're going to see any crazy free wides again from the likes of Haycox, but you never know here. In fact, Schuster doesn't really have much of a toe on Miller, and you can see Haycox is going to try and go for this. Gabbiani's right behind. Is he going to let Gabbiani come by? Gabbiani will go and take the low side. He'll just slot back in. So there won't be any overtaking opportunities yet, but wait till they come off the banking onto what I basically call an oval backstretch, but over the backstretch on the Grand Prix circuit. No free wide at the moment. Schuster does take back that lead. Again, we're back to this whole thing of trading places.
Yeah, Gabbiani, of course, hailing from Italy, is at his home circuit, so he's not doing so well right now, still 20th in those GTPs, but he's not last as others have wrecked out behind him. Oh man, look at them come over that little jump there onto the main straight. Here comes Haycox. He thinks he's got the momentum, and he's going to try and get the track position. Looks like Fabian will as well, as he goes by Lescala. If I know Yuko, he's going to play the patient game because he understands how this all works and knows he does not have to lead them.
No, and again, he went faster yet again. Another fast lap from him. He's just holding behind and paying the time. He's making sure he's going to be in the right place. He will need to make a couple places up before the final lap. He won't be able to do all 4 places on the last lap, but he is waiting. This does remind me of that Lotus race last season at Monza, where the drivers, they're just waiting their times. This is the best type of racing. This is chess all of a sudden, Joe. This is the idea that I'm going to play my pawn. What's your move? Oh, you're playing a knight. I just don't know if I can counter that right now.
Exactly. It takes thinking so many steps ahead in this race. And it's funny because a lot of people think, oh, well, there's nothing to win races like this because it's all a bit of gamble. No, we keep referencing Daytona, Talladega, and things like that. You look at the Earnhardts and other drivers that somehow keep managing to win there despite the so-called lottery about it. There's a strategy and there is a form of racing, and knowing and how to read it and how to play your cards is going to be crucial in the end. But as they come around to start lap 10 now for these GTOs, it is Haycox who is leading the way ahead of Miller and Schuster.
And beside them is P2, 3, 4, and 5 in the GTO. Going down the other side, we're keeping our eyes on this. To the inside, we see Reed Miller. He will take that lead away. Schuster is there. Haycox is there as well. And I think actually the low side is not working for Miller. It looks like the high side is just getting it with the slipstream. In goes, that's David Richards just behind. Who's that having a little cheeky look? That's Yoko. That's Leskola. He's just cheekily gone 3 wide. Is he going to take the lead right here? He's going to take the high side. I don't think he's going to have the speed. Did not see that coming all of a sudden. I think he's been listening to us.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier that he's going to have to get a few spots, at least put himself in position, even if it's not leading. And I'd say he did that pretty quickly as he's now up into second. Boy, that's a brave flag man standing right there as they come down and to the Curva Grande. Looks like Yuko and Haycox are going to play chicken into this right-hander. It is not flat out in these machines. You can hear them lift as they come down into the sweeping turn. And despite being on the outside, it does look like the edge goes to Ian Haycox. By the way, for our GTOs, we had mentioned that we had lost some due to incidents. At least one was due to technical error. Poor Doug Cloud lost his steering feedback. So unfortunately, a little bit hard in sim racing to do that. Force feedback, yeah. Thank you.
I wouldn't like to race without force feedback, especially on a track like this with the bumps. When you're going over the chicanes, it's very crucial for some people getting reference points here. I think Ian Haycox just missed a shift because all of a sudden Leskola's just come all the way back. He's just easily overtaken him. I don't think that was a slowdown. No, it's not a slowdown, so that's very interesting. Must have been a missed shift there from Haycox, but Leskola, all of a sudden, he's back in the lead after everything at the start of this race. And the leader is back in P1.
You can't count that Finn out. No matter what happens, it seems like he manages to find his way back in to be competitive, which is what makes the fact that he lost the championship last season all the more incredible, because he's usually very good at fighting back from issues. And the fact that he had so many last season that he wound up with a bunch of no scores is what cost him in the end. And Del Olmo was able to outrun him to too many races. Meanwhile, here we go again, onto the banking, down to the bottom we go for Andreas Schuster underneath the yellow line.
Yeah, and I think he's realized because what Haycox is doing. Haycox is being very passive. I've noticed it lap after lap. He's being passive, holding behind. So that allows Schuster to go, if you're not going to do anything, I'm going to go for it. He couldn't. He had no help. All of a sudden, Haycox has the slipstream. He's going to take it, and they leave Leskola hung and dry. And now does that mean Schuster's going to try and make a move? He is not. He's going to hold on. 5-car battle here. I'm going to put my money here on Miller right here. I think he's the one that's just now, he's playing the role of Leskola a couple laps ago. He's waiting for an opportunity. These guys have been lapped, by the way, so they're going to be doing 14 laps, being that they have been lapped. I don't think the leaders will come around again. Will Miller go for a move here? No. This now with the barrier in the middle, it's so hard to even consider 3 wide.
Yeah, it gets super narrow down this front stretch on that portion. It's already not that wide of a track with it being so old school, and Haycox will hold the lead. Lescala into third, defending off Miller there through the Curva Grande. I think Fabian wants to get involved. Nope, he's going to back out and get back in line. The other incredible thing, Craig, is they are 13 seconds ahead of Hideki Koivisto, who sits in 6th. They have absolutely run away from everybody else.
I think a lot of it is the slipstream. They came together at the start of the race after what happened. They just decided to play their time. Like I was saying, we talked about the Daytona, talked about the Talladega. They've not been going aggressive on the Grand Prix circuit, but they've been using that slipstream to basically just cause this buffer. You look at Hideki. Hideki's got no one to work with. Nobody here in the rest of the top 10, with the exception of Oscar Lozano and Joran van Hicks. They're the only ones working together. Everybody else on their own apart from this top 5. And I think that is the main reason why these guys have been able to pull away. I mean, you look at the GTPs, not the same because of the fact that they've had traffic. But speaking of the GTPs, all of a sudden it's gotten very interesting. Not just here, we're seeing, there it is, sorry, that's Batisto. He's had a slowdown there, and he's had to give up P4 to Dylan Roberts.
I think, yeah, it was on the entry to the De La Roja chicane, just cut a little too hard in, and yeah, now he's back into P5, about 10.5 seconds back from the leader, so I'm sure some of that was eaten up by that slowdown penalty, but even before that, he'd still be about 9, which is what he was when we last checked on him, so I get the sense that Lepisto is going to have to settle for best of the rest here.
I think so, but they are trying to catch Medel. Medel has, well, because of that movement, they have lost a little bit of time. But there you see Medel. He is being caught slowly. His times haven't been very good. He's going to get held up by another GTO on the exit there of the Parabolica. That gap now is 1.2, 1.1. And you've got to think that Dylan will get a little bit of a tow from that GTO. He does. Now Dylan is in slipstream range. This is probably the most the most danger Medel has been in since the start of the race. He has 2 laps left to hold on to this P3. His first podium, I'm knocking on wood, his first podium after starting on pole.
Here we go down into the Curva Grande once again, and Haycox comes out the leader of the pack. They've got another GTP trying to slice through. I think that's Carl Moore. And he's only going to get some of them. Now, this might separate things slightly. Having this in there is not necessarily what Reed Miller was looking for. Yeah, look at how far they've stretched away. Now he's got to try and stay within about 2 seconds of those ahead of him, because he'll still feel the effects of that slipstream down through the oval portion. But beyond those 2 seconds, they have cut him loose. Right now, I think he's okay. He's about 1.2 back from them. Are we sure they won't get lapped? Because Haycox is right now coming into the La Roja as these guys are just out of the second Lesmo.
They may get lapped here, but I don't know, because remember, Haycox, he's on his penultimate lap here. Looking at the times, they're about 20 seconds slower. Some of these drivers may get lapped. It's going to be interesting. But speaking of laps, that is a slow car there. That is Medel losing a lot of time here. What has happened to Medel? Has he had a moment at the chicane? He has had a moment at the chicane. And he drops down to P6. A man who was in the podium spots for almost the whole race has now lost it here. We're going to get a replay here. I think he just went a little bit hot on the exit. No, it's the curve. How has he saved that? How has he saved that?
It was hot on entry, and then he carried the speed all the way through, just trying to save the thing. But yeah, incredible slide there for him to retain that. As speaking of incredible stuff, oh my goodness, it's an absolute traffic jam coming down into the Parabolica. They got to get this sorted out. That's Lepisto at the front of it, trying to overtake. And one of our GTOs, Jungbluth, going to be able to get single file. Medel hasn't lost touch with him either. As the white flag is out, we're on the final lap now.
Yeah, Haycox will get past Koivisto. I'm not sure about the rest of the top 5 in the field. It could be close. The gap between Haycox and Sisek is 16 seconds, so maybe, just maybe, we get to see that. But here we go on the white flag for the GTPs, and we're also seeing on the GTOs. I've got my eyes glued on both battles here. We're going to have 3 wide going down the straight, and Medel says, thank you very much, I want this position back. He goes back into P3, but he is fighting with Batista.
Oh, this is going to be scary if they keep this 3 wide coming off. I think that's only a 2 wide portion unless they're absolutely crunched together, and thankfully they stay 2 wide. But here comes Ove Trangrade with a whole head of steam. He could upset things as well. There goes Medel ducking back to the inside of Lepisto, wanting to try and get back to 4th position. This is all happening behind Hugh Haycox, who has essentially half of the road course part of it to go. Oh, we got a big accident in a Curva Grande. Oh, no.
Ah, you've got to feel big damage there. It just looked like a miscommunication on the GTO there as well. And we've got to go back to the GTO battle here because they will be able to get 1 more lap. Haycox is only 7 seconds behind them. This is going to be tight. They should make it. And these 5, there is Haycox. They're going to get another lap.
Oh, it was close. I wonder if they took that into account or not on how they want to position themselves. You can see the overall leader just behind him. That's your lead in the GTOs with Haycox at the front, Schuster second, Leskala sitting third, Miller and Seisheg rounding him out. Behind them, though, Hugh Haycox returns to the Camel GT Series and kicks it off with a win at Monza.
Well, hold on 1 second. How many cars is he going to overtake? Is he going to overtake all of them? No, he's held off. That's respectful there. He could have stopped there. He could have overtaken Fabian. He decided against it. These 5 are going to be battling for the win for the GTOs. 2.5 minutes left for these guys. And there you see some of the rest of the drivers coming around the field for the GTP, sorry. That is going to be Timothy Reed getting the P2. Dylan Roberts gets the P3.
Well done. Like I said, quiet drive up from 10th. Meanwhile, here we go, side by side. Now it's time to play what you got in hand. And as a reminder, because you mentioned how many he would pass before the start-finish line, that's an early finish line here at this track. They do it on the old timing line, well, the current timing line for F1 there. So it doesn't take you down the whole straight. It comes up quite quickly after Parabolica. Yuko going to try and make it 3 wide. He splits them up. No! He runs into them. He takes out Haycox. He takes out Fabian. And then there were 2.
Then there were 2. There was just a small gap there, and the gap closed. Miller's going to go down to the inside on Schuster. He's going to retake the lead here. I told you to wait on Miller. I had a feeling he had a chance here. Is there going to be a response here from Schuster as they come down to the Del Roger? There's no one behind them now. The gap is 10 seconds. To the chicane they go, side by side. Schuster retakes the lead.
This isn't over. There's still chances to maybe try and fight back, but Miller is slow off of the De La Roja chicane. I don't know if it was a missed shift or he just couldn't get the throttle down. He's wide coming off the first Lesmo. He's losing it hand over fist now. 0.9 of a second back. There's no way he's going to get the slipstream from this and these last few straightaways. He's got to hope for a mistake into Ascari or Parabolica.
He needs a miracle here. The gap is 0.8. The gap is slowly closing with that slipstream. It's not going to be enough. He needs the corner of the gods here. Can he get it? He breaks really late. He really closes down, but he's gone in too hot. That should be it, really. I cannot see him making anything now. 0.7. Remember, the start line is early on the straight. This looks to be Schuster.
Yeah, as long as he is smooth through the Parabolica, this should be Andreas Schuster's race to lose. The 22 car coming up from 5th on the grid is indeed smooth, doesn't miss the shifts as he comes around the corner in an incredible last lap battle. It is Andreas Schuster who wins in Italy.
Miller's going to take home the P2, and behind them, after everything that happened, it is going to be a car with no bumper. Oh, no, it does have a bumper. Fabian Seizek, sorry, is going to get that P3. I don't know where the rest of the field is. I think everybody's had to tow.
Yeah, remember they all got lapped, and so there was only these 5 to finish this race. Unfortunately, 3 of the 5 got taken out, and then one of those 3 was able to drive to the finish. So we're going to take a quick break and try to catch our breath. We'll come back with the official results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to ride around the world.
I'm Mick Claridge, and I'm going to ride around the world on my bike.
My son, he gave me advice at the start of this ride, and he looked at me and just said, "Dad, don't be a moron."
Let me do my animal signal to gain their respect. How's it going, Sally?
Yeah, I'm alright, Mick. How's it going?
Worse than that bit in Lord of the Rings where they got into the top and the spiders in the tunnel. I'm just hoping there's a spider at the top of this one to kill me. Freezing.
And I failed. I moroned up the ride.
Welcome back to Monza. This combined circuit, we set it up and hyped it up as one of the most exciting, and it delivered. It delivered in a big way, but not necessarily for the lead of the GTPs. Hugh Haycock's got to run away with it because of a strange breakaway at the start. I think that that slowdown that Lepisto got, or some sort of mistake that he had, really disrupted this race and allowed him to just scamper off. Timothy Reed was second, as Dylan Roberts had a quiet third place he should be proud of. Fabian Jungbluth managed to come away ahead of a multi-car fight to finish fourth over Ove Trangerade. Diego Mastretta was P6. After that, it's Lau Stolzen in 7th and James King from 17th to 8th. Jack Wells was 9th today, followed by Brian Molitor in the 10th spot. Javier Mascara was the first on the next slide in 11th. It's Robert Plumley finishing P12, slightly better than what he did in the Lotus 49s earlier. Sayandra, didn't really see him all that much. He had a mistake early in the race. He had to settle for 13th. Carlos Fonseca was P14, up from 23rd, didn't set a lap time. David Richards, 15th, was followed shockingly by Antti Lepisto there at the end, involved in an incident, as so was Andrew Medell, finishing in 17th. Carl Moore was P18, the last one on the lead lap. After that, Martin Krajcik and Gabbiani rounded out the finishing field, with Suarez, Dawnbaugh, Claridge, and Clapper DNFing in the prototypes.
In the GTO, well, in the GTOs, what can we say? After that first lap incident, Andreas Schuster takes the victory from Reed Miller in a very close fight. It's a 5-car battle between them, Fabian Sizek, Ian Haycox, and Leskola. Of course, Haycox and Leskola both had to tow, and actually they gave the P4 to Haycox. Quay Visto will come home in 6th, and Oscar Lozano, a quiet race there, comes home in 7th. Mira Haraski will be 8th, and Rob Blackmore makes 12 places to come home in 9th. And then Johan Vanix will be in 10th position. Then we come to Daniel Repetto, who gets 12th position. Steve McLean will be 13th. Mark Ole will be 14th. Javier Del Olmo recovers after that start. He comes home in 15th position, and Emerson Gowden will be 16th. Gregor Buscemi actually gets disqualified, but finishes 17th. I believe that was incident points. And Al Amri will be 19th. Timothy Vaughan, 17th. Buscemi, 18th. Apologies. Doug Cloud, with that force feedback issue, as we heard, will be 20th. Hamill Smith will be... Hamill Smith, will be there. Will be 21st, will be the last one of them all. Where do you start? I mean, I'm trying to get my mind around everything. It's been absolutely chaotic today.
Which is kind of what we expected coming in. And I'm sure Hugh Haycox expected maybe more chaos than he experienced taking that win. Hugh, that has to have been the calmest Monza win you've probably ever had.
Yeah, it was pretty calm. I mean, it was all right. I had a lot of gap, but I was still pushing pretty hard because they would have caught me with the draft.
So what do you equate your breakaway to? Because we never, I mean, so much was happening. We really didn't get a chance to go back and look and analyze. We suspect that Lepisto had an issue there in De La Roja on lap 1 that had an effect on it. Was that the only thing that really made the difference there in the whole race to help you break away?
Yeah, we had a bit of a contact. He turned in a bit early. I left. I didn't leave him much room, and I think he had to go through the chicane or something. But my whole plan was as long as I'm in the first chicane first, I knew I had so much more pace through the corners because everyone was running such low downforce, way lower than me. So my plan was just to get a 1 second gap coming out of Ascari, and then I knew I could hopefully pull away.
And that you did. Well, it's awesome seeing you back because it's been a minute since you've attended here regularly. Do you plan to be here for most of this season? Because, I mean, starting off with a win is a good sign.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm going for the championship again, so hopefully it goes my way this time again.
Well, we'll cross our fingers for you. Best of luck. You survived one of the most chaotic ones. Anybody help get you to victory lane today?
Not particularly myself. A lot of setup time, but thanks to you guys for putting on a great show, and see you next week.
That was Hugh Haycox, your winner in the prototype class today. A little bit farther down, and unfortunately falling out of that battle for second was Laus Olsen. Craig has caught up with him.
Yeah, we got Laus here. It was a very quiet race there for Laus. It looked to be pretty close at the start for you, Laus, but then it looked like a small mistake at the chicane. Cost you quite a few positions at the start. Did you find that was the biggest issue today?
Just these draft races. I'm not that good at them, and just a little mistake, and you lose the draft, and suddenly the whole line goes by you. So I tried to most of the last parts of the race. I tried to work a little together with Diego if we could catch up to the guys in front, but we were still too slow. So I guess I was also missing some speed during the race.
Yeah, we talked as well. It was definitely a low downforce race as well, and that wing can be affecting. For those not aware, because when they race the Monza Grand Prix, it's a high downforce track. Tell us the difference driving. I know the GTP, it's different anyway. Tell us the difference driving these type of corners in a low downforce compared to a higher downforce that you'd be used to.
Yeah, you really don't have much downforce. Normally, you can rely on the downforce, and you have good grip and not too much problems putting the power down. But when it's trimmed out like it's here, down to lowest wing settings, you really have to be careful. Both not sliding when you turn in. If you go a little too fast, you slide, and you just end up either ruining your tires or going off track. And again, when you're putting down the downforce, it's very twitchy and loose. So you really have to be careful, and that makes it quite a challenge.
Now, of course, this week the chaos of Monza combined. Next week, something completely new to everyone: Oschersleben. Have you been able to get any practice? Do you know what to expect on that track for the race next week?
Absolutely not. I haven't driven one lap yet on that track, so I'm looking forward to learning it during next week. And yeah, let's see how it goes. But I like the challenge of new tracks. It's often also shakes up the order a little bit. Not everybody is. Some are quite quick getting a new track under the skin, and others are a bit slower. So it tends to shake up things a little bit also. So I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I think all of us are looking forward to seeing something new and the challenges everyone has to face. So, Laus, we hopefully look forward to seeing you next weekend. But until then, congratulations on a good recovery to 7th, and enjoy your weekend.
Thank you. You too.
That was Laus Olsen, your 7th place driver here at the end of round 1. at Monza. That's going to wrap us up. So a big thank you goes out to the Camel GT series for bringing us back for another season of coverage, and also to the team today, Craig, Zach, and Dougie. Make sure to check out our social media, website, and merchandise store, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you don't miss a moment. As was mentioned, the next race is going to be Oschersleben. That'll be Saturday, September 24th at 1 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to check our other broadcasts listed here on your screen, and until next time, race clean, race hard. We'll see you on the track.